Today in our 2013 Toyota Venza, we'll be installing the Curt T-One vehicle wiring harness with 4-pole flat connector, part number C56079. Now we can go ahead and show you how to use the new 4-pole connector. Simply raise the rear cargo mat and cover, take the 4-pole and run it out and down to the center of the vehicle to your hitch or accessory. Be careful to stay away from the latch, as pitching the wire off in the latch can damage it. However, the weather stripping is thick enough that it won't, and we can simply close the rear tailgate on it. Then once we're finished using our new 4-pole connector, we'll simply roll it up and store it down next to the spare tire. To begin our install, we'll first open up the rear tailgate and then remove the rear cargo cover. Next, we'll remove the rear floor panels. We have the center panel and 2 corners. Next, we'll remove the cargo trays. There's one on each side. Here on the passenger side, there are multiple fasteners to be removed. We have a push pin fastener. Push the center of the push pin fastener in and then remove the fastener. To reset the fastener for reinstallation, you push the needle of the push pin back up through the top flat portion. And then when reinstalling, you put it back into the hole and then reset the center pin. Next, there are 2 cap nuts and then a plastic nut. Now with each fastener removed or loosened, we'll go ahead and remove the cargo tray and set it aside. We'll repeat the same process over on the driver's side. We're going to remove the fasteners securing each of the rear quarter panels. Each side will have a cargo loop that'll need to be removed by removing the bolt and setting it aside, and also a cargo hook. To remove the cargo hook, you'll press in on the center of the fastener and then remove the entire hook. Next, we'll need to remove the rear threshold. To remove the rear threshold, we'll need to simply get underneath of it and gently pry up, releasing the fasteners underneath. On each side, there'll be a push pin fastener that we'll need to press the center of the push pin in and then release the fastener and remove it. Now we can gently pull back on the quarter panel, releasing the fasteners underneath, and gain access to the manufacturer's wiring. Here on the driver's side, we can see the white connector that's secured to the body of the vehicle. Make it easier to access this connector, we'll go ahead and remove the plastic fastener that secures it and then turn the connector over, pressing on the locking tab and separating the connector and socket. Now we can take the new Curt T connector wiring harness and plug in line with the manufacturer's wiring, matching up the connector and socket for the yellow, red, and green wire harness connections to the manufacturer's matching connection points. Once we make these connections, we'll go ahead and re-secure the connector fastener back into the body. Next, we'll take the white wire from our converter box that has a pre-attached ring terminal. This white wire is the ground for our converter box, and we'll need to secure it to the body of the vehicle. Using a self-tapping screw, we'll go ahead and secure it. Quick tech tip, I recommend to locate an area where the sheet metal doubles up for a more secured connection. Now with that done, we can go ahead and take the green wire and connectors and route them over to the passenger side. As we route over to the passenger side, we're going to go ahead and route inside of the rear cargo channel. It will help assist in keeping our wire out of the way and secured. Now that we're over here on the passenger side, we'll go ahead and repeat the same process of disconnecting the manufacturer's connector and socket and plugging in line with the wiring. As we route back over to the driver's side, then we'll go ahead and secure the wiring as necessary with the black zip ties. Back over on the driver's side, we'll need to connect the long black power wire provided with the install kit to the black power wire coming from the converter box. To do this, we'll use the yellow butt connector provided. We'll strip back both wires and then put the yellow butt connector over the black wire from the converter box and secure it. Then we'll repeat the same process with one end of the long black power wire provided. Now with this connection made, I recommend to go ahead and wrap up this connection point with some black electrical tape, as it will assist in keeping out any dust, dirt, debris, or moisture. Now with all our connections made to our converter box, we'll need to mount the converter box. To mount the converter box, we'll use a two-sided adhesive supplied with our install kit. Peel back one side and adhere it to the converter box. Then we'll remove the cover from the other side and adhere it to a clean flat surface, preferably sheet metal. Here on the driver's side, at the lowest point behind the tail light, is a perfect location, as it will be out of the way when reinstalling the rear cargo tray. Next, we'll go ahead and take the black power wire and start routing it towards the front of the vehicle, and then use a manufacturer's grommet to route it outside of the vehicle. To get through the grommet, we'll use a utility knife to cut a small slice in the grommet and then start feeding the wire underneath. Next, we'll move underneath the vehicle and go ahead and pull the remaining wire down underneath the vehicle and start routing up towards the engine compartment. Keep in mind when routing your wires, stay away from any moving components such as steering or suspension, or excessive heat such as the exhaust. As we route the wire to the engine compartment, we'll use the black zip ties to secure the wiring. Now that we're to the engine compartment, we're ready to go ahead and feed it up through the engine bay. To assist us in routing a wire, we're going to use a pull wire, or in this case a piece of air tubing, to run it up through the engine bay and to the top of the engine. Now we can go ahead and pull it to the top of the engine and secure it with a black zip tie. Next, we'll route it over to the positive battery terminal and then cut off any excess that won't be needed. And with the excess cut off, we're now ready to go ahead and install the inline fuse holder. Stripping back both ends, we can attach the butt connector to one side, then we'll attach the yellow butt connector to the black power wire. One end will attach the ring terminal, and once again we'll go ahead and wrap up this butt connector connection point with some black electrical tape. With that done, we're now ready to go ahead and install the ring terminal onto the positive battery post. We'll remove the nut on the positive battery post, install the ring terminal, and then re-secure the nut. Now we can go ahead and replace the positive battery terminal cover. We'll then go ahead and install the fuse into the fuse holder. We'll use a 10-amp fuse as supplied with the install kit. We'll go ahead and cut off the excess from the zip ties to clean up our install look and reinstall the interior trim components. To test the connector, we'll use a test light by putting our ground onto the exposed 4-pole connection terminal, which will be the ground wire for our 4-pole connector. Then, next to the exposed terminal will be the running light circuit. Our third connection point will be the left turn and braking, and the fourth point will be the right turn and braking. And that does it for our install of the Curt T-connector vehicle wiring harness with 4-pole flat connector, part number C56079, on our 2013 Toyota Venza.